Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, round 2 of Gun Talk, and you can be a part of it. Of course, all you have to do is give us a shout. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in there. We'll have more news for you as we go along, but first I want to visit with a friend of ours. Jason Nash is with Federal Premium, and he's been out and about. Hey, Jason, where in the world have you been recently? I know you got to be hunting somewhere.
Well, Tom, I haven't been hunting yet, but I do have a Montana deer hunting trip planned. So, okay, I take that back. I have been in Wisconsin for the youth deer hunting season, but I've got a Montana trip coming up.
Well, tell me about the youth season. What happened there? Who'd you take out?
I took out my 2 oldest daughters. They're 10 and 8 years old, and in Wisconsin, where my father-in-law lives, you can hunt early in the season for one weekend, and it was a mentored hunt, and it was really a lot of fun for me to sit out there with my girls and introduce them to the sport. Now, unfortunately, we didn't see anything, but we had a good time nonetheless.
Now, had they been hunting with you before?
Yeah, I've taken them out walking the trails for grouse, but we haven't sat in a deer stand before, so a new experience for them.
Well, yeah, you kind of just let the woods happen around you. You become, if you can stay still, and that's always the challenge with youngsters, you can kind of become invisible out there and just watch the birds and the critters and everything else.
You can, and both of them really love wildlife, and they like being outside. So, I mean, even though we didn't see anything, it was exciting for them, and it was a little chilly, too, so it tested their their Midwestern blood.
Yeah, well, yeah. And, look, it's just hard for kids. They get cold, they get hungry or whatever, and they lose patience. We can sit there and say, we can do this for a few hours. It's hard. Let me ask you, what gun did you take for them to use?
I had a Savage Axis Youth model in 7mm.8.
Oh, one of my favorite calibers. I love that caliber. It just pretty much does everything.
Yeah, and I was a little worried if it was too much recoil, but personally, I think the 7.8 is a little bit better killing gun than a 243. I'm sure that would spark some controversy among others, but
no doubt.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, that gun with a 120 grain fusion bullet is about as good as you can do. And my daughter handled the recoil just fine on the bench and put together a nice group. So, I felt confident that she'd be able to get one if the opportunity arose.
Well, and you were smart. You went with the lighter bullet rather than go with something like a 140 grain bullet. You go a little bit lighter on the bullet. You still use a good bullet, which of course is the key. And with that, you're going to get just a little bit less recoil, right?
Yep. Yeah, okay. And that gun is built well, and I just made sure to introduce her carefully. And we've been working on the fundamentals and practicing trigger control and breathing, and making sure that the stock is tight into her shoulder pocket. That's the key.
Right. Okay, so you're going out to Montana. Are you hunting muleys out there?
No, whitetails.
Whitetails. All right, because they do have a lot of whitetails out there. My first thought is muleys, but I always have to remind myself they have good whitetail hunting out there.
They do, and I've shot a pretty good size one out there. I'm not all about the trophy, but I'm proud when I do shoot a big deer. So I shot about a 150 class deer out there once.
Holy cow. All right. So I've got a way for you to meet more people and get into more interesting conversations when you get out to Montana, okay?
Okay.
All right, when you get into a bar, just really loud say, well, a 243 is all you need for hunting out west, and then just be quiet. You'll get to meet a lot of people that way.
I bet. And then the caliber debate can begin, right?
That's right. Let the games begin.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, you've been with Federal a long time. You've seen, so at least some of the recent developments. I don't think I've ever seen a time when ammunition has improved as fast across the board, all the manufacturers, as in maybe the last 10, 15 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased on brands because I work for Federal, but there's a lot of good competition out there, which is healthy, right, for an industry.
Oh, yeah, it pushes you.
Absolutely, it pushes us to be better, too. But, yeah, our engineers and a lot of them across the industry have really pushed the boundaries. And, if the ammunition will do its job these days if you practice and you're prepared and you choose the right product for the game. Well,
I go far enough back to where bullets didn't perform reliably when they hit game. But the other thing, and I think the real change is, we've got all of these good rifles, like you're talking about the Savage, that are very accurate and not terribly expensive. But the big deal is our ammo is so much more accurate out of the box. It used to be, if you got 2 to 3 inches at 100 yards, that was about all you could expect. And boy, if that's all they were getting now, your phones would be ringing off the hook. Yeah,
I know, absolutely. And, back when, in the 70s, when Federal introduced premium, it was about getting that hand-loaded accuracy in a factory load. And,
yep.
That's just, no one even thinks of that anymore.
That's right. It's a given. All right, so you guys have a new handgun ammo out, and I just got to tell you, it looks weird, man.
Yeah, we get a lot of lipstick comments.
Well, I was going to go with the lipstick comment, but I guess you've already got there. You got this reddish, orangish-looking bullet sticking out of a 9mm case, and people go, what the devil is that? But it's a coated bullet, isn't it?
Yep, it's polymer-coated, and what that does is it fully encases the lead so you don't get contact with metals in the barrel. So, it's easier on the gun, less dirt, and we've combined it with a new primer we call the Catalyst, which is lead-free and burns really hot and clean. So, you'd actually see less smoke when you're shooting inside, versus a typical ball round.
So and it's called Syntech, Syntech. Is the idea behind it that this is a cleaner ammunition to shoot?
Yeah, absolutely. It's cleaner. It's also, we've noticed that when you stack a magazine, we've done a little test with people, put 5 rounds of Syntech and 5 rounds of a standard copper jacket of the same grain weight, velocity. Right. Uh-huh. You can notice a difference in recoil because there's less friction in the barrel. A bullet, it lubricates inside.
Really? I am surprised. Barrel, yeah. If you figure same velocity, same weight, I would not have expected to be able to tell any difference in recoil. That's amazing. Huh.
Yeah, we were surprised, and well, I guess we weren't surprised, but we were happy to see that.
Gratified that it actually worked out that way. Yeah. Now you've got it in 9, 40, and 45 right now.
Yep.
Okay. It's called
and right
Syntech.
now it's available in certain retailers. We're ramping up production and getting more out every day.
Okay.
But you can find it at a number of different big box retailers.
Give us the what's in it for me deal. Why would somebody want to shoot the Syntech ammo?
Well, no one really likes to clean guns, and some of us hate to admit that, but when you shoot Syntech, you definitely notice a difference in the amount of buildup that you get inside your barrel. So it's a lot easier to clean.
Okay, so you got this, and besides that, you got this wicked-looking, lipstick-looking cartridge, and people are going to say, what is that? And you'll get a chance to talk about your new ammo. You'll be the only one at the range with that stuff, at least until they figure it out. They start buying it.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll definitely turn heads.
All right, and all the information is at the Federal Premium website, federalpremium.com.
Yep, we've got videos on there that show how that new Catalyst primer works. We've got all kinds of animations that show how the bullet's coated. You'd be amazed at what goes into powder coating a bullet. I just saw the machinery a couple weeks ago. It's incredible. the engineering that goes into something that seems that simple.
Well, yeah, you think, well, what's the big deal? You're coding it, but there's a lot more that goes into it. Well, Jason, thank you for letting us know about the Syntec, and I want to just say congratulations on taking those young girls out. That is such a cool deal. You're building memories with your girls.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and, you know, I was disappointed that we didn't see something, but it's also part of the learning process, and, you know, they need to understand that there's success and failure, and frankly, it wasn't a failure because we had a great time. We had hot cocoa and blankets and got to see some squirrels. It was a blast.
Yep. And that's a great takeaway, is that you do not have to shoot something for a hunt to be a success. And if you teach them that early, that way they can enjoy every hunt regardless of the outcome. That is terrific. Jason, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom. Good talking to you.
Take care. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. Give me your stories. You've been taking any kids out? I love those stories. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
Experts agree that the low-range variable rifle scope is best for most situations. Now, Trijicon offers a stunning 1-to-6 power variable in the AccuPoint line. Featuring a battery-free illuminated reticle, superior glass clarity, and rugged construction, it's the one scope you need for hunting and competition. Long eye relief, aircraft-grade aluminum housing, manual brightness override. See the 1-to-6 power AccuPoint at Trijicon.com. Trijicon.com.
As we celebrate 2 centuries in Remington country, it's humbling to think about all the ground we've covered. Since the infancy of our nation, we've journeyed with you every step of the way, helping shape the course of American history. Remington country is bigger than a place, and for the 200 years, it's been our highest honor supporting your freedoms and your way of life. To celebrate, Remington is giving away 200 guns. For a chance to win, tell us your story at 200sweepstakes.remington.com.
SID is on the way. Silencer Shop has shipped a SID kiosk to a gun store near you. What is SID? It's secure identity documentation, where you and all of your trustees can register, get fingerprinted, and complete the documents necessary to own a silencer in your gun trust. Easy, ATF compliant, and you only need to visit SID once. Get to know SID, your new 41F champion. Learn more at silencershop.com. Making the world a quieter place.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
All right, let's run over to Texas and visit with Joe on line 3. Joe, did you order a silencer?
Yeah, I did, but when I filled out my stuff on February 2nd, I finally got approved last Monday. It took that long.
Is that 9 months, roughly?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're lucky. I know it doesn't feel like you're lucky, but let me tell you, if you put in your paperwork now, it's probably going to be 12 months.
Well, I was lucky I'd win the lottery.
Well,
I went to a gun store the other day. I don't want to give their name, saying they don't advertise with you. But when I was in there, they had a serial number. It was a steel-framed Henry, serial number 90.
Ooh.
The gun is so clean, Tom. It's amazing. They were started off at $325,000, so I put your name on it, but they reduced it to $250,000.
Well, if they don't have a matched pair, I'm not really that interested in it. I'm sorry, but but yeah, if we could go for 2 of them for that, just a cool $500,000, we'll go for that. That's unbelievable. And the thing is, there will be a collector out there who will pick that up because that's a heck of a piece of history right there. That is very cool.
War.
Joe, appreciate your call. Here's the thing. If you're putting in right now, you're going to buy a silencer, suppressor, it's probably 12 months for them to get the paperwork through. And people say, well, I just don't know if I want to do that. Well, I guess, okay, do you want to have it in 12 months or do you not? It's got to be what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't say, well, I'll go buy one on the private market. You can't do that. You still got to wait for the paperwork. If you're interested, just go ahead and do it, put it in, and then forget about it. And then when you get your paperwork, you'll be good. You get your stamp, and you're good to go. So, it's just, as they like to say, it is what it is. Mary has called in on line 4 out of Bossier City, Louisiana. Mary, what's going on?
Hi, how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Well, I actually live in Doling, but nobody knows what that is, so I have to give a bigger city reference. So
okay.
It's just small town USA.
So you went to a concealed carry class?
Yes, I went through the concealed carry class with 2 of my girlfriends in December, and we just got our license back, and I'm not even sure if one of my friends has gotten hers back yet, but the other friend got hers before me, and she also received a refund because she's a veteran. I guess there's a new law that came in August, and so I was like, why did she get a refund and I didn't? Because I'm also a veteran, and the only difference between the 2 of us is that she retired, and I just did my 4-year Air Force stint here at Barksdale. So I wasn't sure if there's what do I need to do to contact them to ask them that?
Yeah, because I have to tell you, I'm not familiar with what has been changed in the law, but you might want to contact the state police folks. And they have a number down there you can call at the concealed carry branch and just ask them, I can't remember, did you say you had already gotten your permit back or you're still waiting on it?
Yeah, no, I've got mine back about probably 6 weeks ago now.
Okay, so you have yours, but you did not get the refund.
And so she got hers right before mine, but then she got a letter and a refund because we can, as a veteran, you can get a lifetime for $250. So that's what I had done as well. But she got a refund of that $250.
Okay.
So I guess they're not charging veterans anymore.
I don't know. Why don't you call them and give them a holler? Now, let me just throw this out because this is for Louisiana residents. If you get the lifetime permit, that does not allow you to get around, if you will, or not have to do the NICS check when you buy a gun. If you have the 5-year permit and you go in and buy a gun, then the store does not have to do the background check because it's already done. But if you have the lifetime permit, they will have to do the NICS background check every time you buy a gun. So some of us in Louisiana have opted to not get the lifetime license and get the 5-year license. That way we don't have to go through that background check every time we get a gun. Kind of depends on how many guns you figure on getting. So, kind of one of those deals. But, I would give them a holler, Mary, and just find out what's going on and see. And here's the thing, and look, thanks for your call. Somebody may have an idea. If you know what's going on there, what the law has changed, give me a holler. Let me know what's going on because I'm not quite up on that one. Dan is in Little Rock on line 3 calling in. Hey, Dan, you're on Gun Talk.
Yes, sir. I had a question about multi-cal suppressors versus caliber specific, and the main reason why I'm asking is because I built a survival 22 essentially. No tin foil, just something fun to take out in the woods with a bunch of ammo with me and something you can basically shoot small, medium-sized game with, but I'm wanting to make it quiet. But is it a waste to try to get a jack-of-all-trades suppressor versus just a 22 specific?
Now, the 22 you build, we're talking a 22 rimfire?
Yes, sir. It's a 1022.
Okay. Here's how it works out. And a lot of us have gone through this drill. You can put a 9mm pistol suppressor on there. It will work fine. It will not be quite as quiet because, of course, you're going to let a little bit more gas out. And that's how you make them more quiet. That's how you quiet them down, is you slow down and cool down the gases. It's still going to be pretty quiet. And if you're thinking, well, I'd like to have a suppressor for my 9mm, and I'd also like to be able to use it on my rifle, fine, that'll work. 30 caliber, you could do that and go down to 22. A lot of people get a 30 caliber suppressor for their .308 and then use it on their AR and go that way. So certainly no problem doing that. And I'm assuming at this point you've never had a suppressor. Is that correct?
No, sir, I have. It's actually my first threaded barrel as well.
Okay. What other guns would you be thinking about putting a suppressor on?
Most likely it would be on a Glock 19.
Okay, so I was kind of figuring that out there. I would go that way. I would get the suppressor for the Glock, and then you could use it on your 22. If you get hooked on suppressors, like we all end up doing, you're going to end up with more than one. And that's okay. At some point, you may say, I'm going to get a 22 suppressor because they're a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, and then you'll have one for your 10-22, and then you'll have one for your 9, and then you're liable to end up getting one for your AR. One thing to be aware of is make sure that the suppressor you get is rated for the most powerful cartridge you would shoot through it, because it's not just a case of is the diameter okay, it's a case of will it handle the blast impact. So if you were to shoot like a Super Magnum rifle through a pistol suppressor, it's not good for it and may tear it up. But I think in this case you're going to be okay. Get the 9. I'll tell you what you ought to do. Call the guys at Silencer Shop. They are just absolutely expert at this. And you can just say, this is what I want to do. And they will, I've sent several people there recently. They said, man, those guys really know their stuff at silencershop.com. And just, tell them I sent you, but give them a holler and talk to them. And they'll say, all right, this is what you want. And this is the adapter you want, or this is how you're going to do it, or this is the threading. Let's check the threading and what you've done. And they'll have, they'll be able to help you out. They're kind of the go-to people on all that. I wish you luck. I think you're going to have a bunch of fun. Okay, when we come back, we're going to be talking with Colion Noir. If you've seen his videos on YouTube, you know who I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're in for quite a treat. He is a YouTube sensation, but he is also one of the best spokesmen for gun rights, partly because of the way he puts things and partly because, well, people just flat listen to him. That'll be coming right up.
Want your opinion to make a difference? Log on to our website and take the Gun Talk poll, www.guntalk.com. Now, once again, opinion page regular contributor for the Washington Times, here's Tom.
All right, welcome back to Gun Talk. Tom Gresham here, 866-TALK-GUN, get you in there. Of course, you know that for decades, I have been encouraging to get involved. Get involved. We created the Truth Squad 15 years ago. I said, here's a real simple deal. I will help you with the message. I mean, that's what I do. I'm a writer. I'm a broadcast guy. I know you're willing. And I thought, wow, this would be great. If we could get 2 or 3 volunteers per state, we could have 100, 150 people who'd be willing to write letters to the editor, to do comments and all. I don't know. We're up past 100,000 of you on the Truth Squad now. It's just nuts. And really what it amounts to is that people said, yeah, I will do this. Just give me a hand. Help me with the messaging of this. Help me know how to deliver that. And now, many years later, we have all these different ways of reaching people and showing you how to deliver a message. And no one, and I do mean no one, does it better than our next guest. Colion Noir, you may have seen his videos on YouTube, they call it a YouTube sensation. Colion, it is a pleasure to have you here. I very much applaud you with everything you've done and the way you go about it.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much. Those are incredibly kind words there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about being able to deliver a message in a persuasive way, non-antagonistic sometimes, but sometimes you got to go there. How long have you been doing this, and how did you get started?
I want to say deliberately about 7 to 8 years.
Okay.
But my actual firearm journey started rather late. Didn't shoot my first gun until about 25, 26. And then from there, I kind of the proverbial love at first shot kind of deal. I've gone to the gun range with one of my friends, and he asked me if I wanted to go shoot, and we went to the gun range. I was pretty apprehensive about it initially, but curiosity got the better of me. And we go to the range, and then that first shot terrified me, and then the second shot is when I fell in love. And then from that point on, it was just I followed the rabbit all the way down the hole.
Hey, Colion, can I ask you to do me a favor? I don't know if you've got me on speaker, but if you can pull that off, that would help us a little bit here. Let me ask you a question. When you came into this as an adult, which a lot of people start as kids, you came into it as an adult, and then you got hooked like a lot of us have done. You get hooked on this thing. But then you went from being just a guy who, I've discovered shooting, to becoming a guy who, let me tell you about shooting and let me tell you about gun rights. You'd approach this with the fever and the intensity of a guy who almost has discovered he has been lied to at some point and finally figured out what was really going on. How close am I?
You're actually pretty close. Actually, really close.
Okay.
For me, I'd always wanted to be an advocate. That's why I went to law school. I always loved the idea of advocating on behalf of people who couldn't do it for themselves. So when I started getting into firearms and I started kind of approaching it more so from a enthusiast standpoint, the more politically driven ideological components started to fall in place during the times of Sandy Hook, and we were getting some high-profile mass shooting.
Right.
And I started to listen to the rhetoric. I hadn't really paid attention to the universal conversation about firearms up until that point. And when I started to listen to the rhetoric, it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, in my world, I'd come to it so naturally, right? And as innocent as you possibly can. And like, I'm not a mass shooter. I'm not a criminal. And of course, I wouldn't want criminals and people who shouldn't have guns to have them. But the things that are being proposed don't make any sense to me. If anything, they look like they're systematically trying to make it harder and harder for someone like me to own the gun. And at that point, go ahead.
That's what's behind it. I mean, and as you start delving into it, you realize, okay, this really isn't about stopping or reducing crime. There are other agendas at work here, right?
Absolutely, and that's when you start to see the kind of vigor that you see now from my advocacy. When I started to realize the agenda behind it, I was really upset. This is something I love. It became a passion of mine. And how many people do we meet in the world on a daily basis who's like, man, I wish I could just find a passion. And I consider myself lucky because I found one. But now there are a group of people out there who are systematically trying to take that away from me and other people who feel like me. And I wasn't going to stand for that.
I have to imagine. Now, are you in the D.C. area? Did I get that right?
No. I'm in the South. I'm in Texas.
You're in Texas. Okay. All right. Yeah. Even better. Because I've worked in D.C. and Texas is much better.
Yeah. I can imagine.
No kidding. All right. So the way you present yourself on your YouTube videos, and now you're doing a lot of work with the NRA, and I'm going to ask you about that in a second here, but I've got to imagine that some people have said, wait, you're supposed to be liberal. You're supposed to be anti-gun. You're a lawyer. You're educated. What are you doing with this? What kind of pushback have you gotten on this?
Initially, it was quite a bit, actually. And I still get pushback to this day because there are so many people who just now are finding out about me and who I am and what I do. And I think there's a lot of shock that there's almost kind of a ideological shock that people go into who are on the other side, who are more liberal, when they see me and what I do with the NRA. And in their minds, because they feel like they own the ideas of somebody like me on a superficial level, they feel like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
All right, for those who have not seen you, tell them what you're talking about. Come on. I mean, it's like my buddy Ken Blanchard, who he's the black man with a gun. You're a black lawyer with a gun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they think, well, wait, you're supposed to believe like us just because.
Absolutely.
You go, what?
And to be honest with you, I've learned through it. It's like they've been pushing an image of what a black man with a gun looks like for so long through the mainstream media that they've literally gotten people who look like me to think that they have to hide the fact that they are into guns because of that image.
And then you come along and they go, well, wait, You actually are well-spoken, and you actually can put together thoughts, and you can present an argument. You can start with a story. You've got a beginning, a middle, and an end to your presentation, and, oh, my God, he might actually be effective.
For all intents and purposes, I think they would completely and utterly ignore me, but for what I do with the NRA, so they can't ignore me.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what, hold on, I'm going to take a quick break because I want to talk to you about the NRA and your show you're doing with them and how that's going, because that is just terrific. We're talking with Colion Noir. We'll be right back with more gun talk.
Black Friday, a sadistic ritual that entails ridiculous lines, jammed shopping malls, and dust-ups over cheap TVs. Why put yourself through that? Skip it and check out Brownell's Black Rifle event, running all November long. That's right, not just a day, but a full month of amazing deals on everything AR. Guns, parts, accessories, optics, anything you can imagine. Go to Brownells.com today. After all, black rifles are way cooler than black eyes.
Nosler has been a leader in bullets and ammunition for decades and keeps growing with new product introductions that follow this tradition. Accurate, highly effective bullets and ammo for long-range shooting, precision rifle competition, and big game hunting. To be the first to hear about new product releases and promotions, follow Nosler on Facebook and Instagram and become part of the conversation. You won't settle, and neither will we. Nosler.com.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free, yes, a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
Smith & Wesson Performance Center firearms combine old-world hand craftsmanship with modern technology. Carry comfortably and confidently with Performance Center pistols and revolvers. Or take aim with their fine-tuned modern sporting rifles. For unique designs and special features, experienced shooters look to the Performance Center for all their firearms needs. Performance Center by Smith & Wesson. Performance when it matters most. For more, go to smith-wesson.com/PC.
All right, back with you. Tom Gresham here. I have been writing about gun rights, working on gun rights for 40 years now. Worked at the NRA for a number of years, edited magazines for them, been writing about it. And I will tell you, in all of my time out there, I have not seen a more effective spokesperson for the Second Amendment and gun rights and human rights than our guest, Colion Noir. For those who are trying to look it up right now, it's COLION Noir. Colion, you started doing this on your own, and then you connected to the NRA, I don't know, 3 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. When that came about, was there any concern in your mind of, gee, was this going to interfere with my independence, or what was your reaction to that?
Absolutely. It was definitely at the top of my concern.
Sure.
Just because there's always been a stereotypical perception whenever you're dealing with anything corporate or was perceived to be corporate.
Right.
And so, that whole concept of they're just going to swallow your brand whole. They're just going to, they're going to make you become something that you're not. That was definitely a concern for me.
Okay.
So I did go into what I did with the NRA pretty lightly initially, because I didn't know what to expect. However, since I've been there, those concerns were for naught. I mean, there was really no basis for them. I haven't had anything forced down on my plate. I haven't been forced to do or say anything that I haven't wanted to do. I pretty much put together 90% of everything that I do and say. So from that perspective, I'm still very much the exact same person I was before I ever joined up with the NRA.
Well, it's certainly not as though you need a writer. You are a terrific writer in your own right. Tell people about what you're doing with the series.
So the name of the show is Noir, and the way I like to put it is it's like it's a show that's a bit of an expose into the firearm community in its current state from a generation standpoint. And what I do is I kind of go around and it's kind of a variety show in some sorts too, because of course I go out and I interview people and I talk with people around the industry, but then at the same time there are components to the show where I actually bring people who are anti-gun, and then we converse back and forth about different aspects of the gun debate. And then on top of that, my kind of more traditional rants and commentary as well. So, and then, you have the occasional little sketch that I like to do for humor as well. Sure. So I kind of mix all of those up, put it in the bag, and then kind of spit it out in one big project, one big product, which come out as episodes. So
people can see this now. Do they see this on your YouTube channel, or do they go to the NRATV.com?
Anywhere. I try to make it as accessible as possible. So if you were to go on NRATV.com, you can watch it there. All the episodes will also be put up on my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so there again, whichever is going to be convenient for the most convenient means by which you will want to consume it. Please, you have your pick. That's right. However you want. I love when you get a chance to talk with an anti-gunner or somebody who sometimes they think they are and they're actually not. I mean, I remember the guy who called in who says, you guys with guns are a problem. I said, really, what's the problem? He said, well, people with guns kill people. I said, really, do you know anybody who owns a gun? He said, well, yeah. I said, well, has he ever killed anybody? He said, well, no. I said, so your problem is just with some people who have guns. Well, yeah. I said, so really what you've got a problem with is people who misuse guns, right? Well, yeah, that's right. I said, well, guess what? That puts us all on the same side. And he kind of goes, exactly. What just happened? Exactly. Yeah, no, and I love the way you just put that, because I try to implore people all the time. It's easy for us to get into these arguments. It's easy to get into an argument. Yes. And nothing really comes of it, because then all of our defense mechanisms come up, our egos get involved, and nothing gets accomplished. Right. I'm guilty of this. Oh, sure. We all are. You'll see it on my show. But I've always been way more effective when I took the time to sit down and listen to the other side's point of view, and then just like you did, systematically show them why their perception of things are a little skewed. And I tell people all the time also, those conversations usually, from an entertainment standpoint, are boring. They're very boring. Interesting. But they're incredibly effective. Well, and the point is, I try to make to people is, look, the goal is not to make somebody else admit that we're right and they're wrong, because that's not going to happen. Nope. That's not how you win this. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that sentiment, because I always believe that educating people on the topic, because a lot of people develop their opinion on the subject with no education, and therefore they're misinformed, therefore making a conclusion ideologically based on a lack of information. So for me, the more I can educate you on the topic, then I feel comfortable with you then taking that information, going back, and then checking it against what you thought to be the case. I don't need you to sit in front of me and say, you know what, you're absolutely right. Because I know when I've dropped that little nugget that causes you to re-examine the way you feel. I can see it in your eyes. Exactly. And that's when you know, okay, I won this one. I don't need to make him admit that I've won it. It's good enough. Let's walk away. That's good. Colion, let me just, again, congratulate you on everything you're doing. I know that our friends at Mossberg are a big title sponsor of your series. They're great people. I love working with them. Again, for people who want to see that, it's on YouTube. And let me spell it again: Colion, and then Noir, Colion Noir, and you can check it out there on NRATV.com. I hope to have you on again sometime, because I just applaud what you're doing. Thank you very much. And anytime you need me, I'm here. All right, sounds good. Guys, check it out. If you have not seen him, you're in for some binge watching, because the guy is just good. And he's good because he is persuasive. Remember, that's what we are all about, is being persuasive. 866-TALK-GUN.
Cal. Did I just see this? I'm just checking on the web. The Chicago Tribune paper just shortly, like minutes ago, just printed a piece that says Democrats should ask Clinton to step aside. Whoa! The Chicago Tribune calling for Clinton to step aside. It said the Democrats should ask. This is crazy. This is a crazy election. Best headline. There have been some really good headlines, but one of them talking about Anthony Weiner. They found these emails on his computer and the whole Clinton thing, and they called it electoral dysfunction. So I don't know. It's what can I tell you? It's crazy talk, crazy time. Obviously, Clinton has such a lust for power. She's not going to step down. That's not going to happen. Nobody's going to ask her to step down. But it does address the way that she is viewed even by people who support her. They don't like her. They don't trust her. Well, they know she's a criminal. They know she's a crook. And people say, well, no, she's never been convicted of anything. You could be a criminal without being convicted. And the stuff that has come out in these emails clearly shows that she has engaged in criminal activity. Clearly shows that she has lied to the FBI. People go to prison for lying to the FBI. People go to prison for the way she handled classified documents. People are in prison right now for doing less than she did. One of the questions that came up in some of the talk shows this morning, the news programs, is, well, what happens to this investigation if she gets elected? Well, there's only one path at that point, because it certainly is not going to be through the Department of Justice, because she would be the commander-in-chief. She would be the head of the Department of Justice, and they're not going to do anything. The only path would be with Congress. Congress could take action. Congress could impeach. Of course, her husband was impeached. He was not removed from office. She could be impeached. She could be removed from office. But for that to happen, and here's the takeaway on all of this, for that to happen, the Republicans not only have to retain control of Congress, they really are going to need to increase their presence in Congress. So if you are utterly disgusted with this election, as are many of us, utterly disgusted, don't want to see another commercial, don't even really like the idea of having to choose between them, even though you know which one you don't want, you may feel like, yeah, but I don't really want the other one either. That's okay. You still got to go. Still got to go to the polls. You still got to do what they call the down ballot voting. Congress folks, senators, governors, all the way down. Really critically important, because she may get elected, even after having committed all these felonies. There would be only one way to do anything about that, and that would be through Congress. Don't know if they'd have the guts to do it. And certainly if it's Democrat-controlled Congress, forget it. You have put essentially the mafia, and I do think of the Clintons as a crime family, America's top crime family. You basically put them in charge of everything, where they can and will use everything. IRS investigations on conservatives. Oh, wait, they already did that. On and on and on. So there it is. What are you thinking about this? What are you going to be doing? Are you going to vote? Are you just going to throw up your hands? Are you talking it up? What are your friends saying? Has anything changed in the last 48 hours for you? I'd love to know that. 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, we'll also be talking about some new ammo, some new guns, and a shooting range we can roll into your city, put right down there downtown, and you can be shooting as soon as they turn off the engine. Pretty cool.